call the meeting in order. We do have a quorum, 2 commissioners present. Commissioner Jackson is away on county business. And at this time, Colonel Averill, would you like to lead us in the flag salute this wonderful morning? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. At this time, public comment. Greg King?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm here today to talk about the rescue services on the Lower Cowlitz River. Back in June, I was commandeered as a private citizen to help with the river rescue. There was 3 adults and 4 teenagers somewhere on the Cowlitz River between Barrier Dam and Blue Creek. And when we got there, Lewis County Sheriff's has already commandeered another fisherman. So the river's being run by Tacoma City Light, and I know the county gets $1.5 million. Could we possibly get a rescue boat for District 2 Fire to be there at Toledo? I don't think it would be that much to ask. I know there's one for the lake, but there isn't a river boat for those guys to use down there. We lost a fisherman in December. He died. Dr. Fong's wife jumped in the river, didn't find her for 6 months or so. There's been other incidents that happened on the Cowlitz, and now that we have a boat ramp at Toledo and we have easy access to the river, the guys at District 2 could jump in the river and do a rescue instead of commandeered citizens that, you know, maybe aren't too savvy in river rescues or anything like that, and putting us at risk too, because anything can happen on the river there really fast. So I would just like to be on record that the commissioners know that the importance of river rescue on the river. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you for coming here and sharing that with us. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to move to approve 2 presentations, employee recognition of Larry Grove and a proclamation honoring George Washington, the pioneer who founded Centralia.
Second. A motion is made and second to approve 2 employee recognition, a proclamation, and the resolutions.
Okay. We have
2 of them, right?
2 of them.
Having a hard time. My glasses are foggy, I guess.
Okay.
Anyway, so is there any more discussion?
Well, I'd like to say that we were hoping that Larry Grove could be here this morning so we could honor him. He's earned the Professional Finance Officer Award for the state of Washington from the Washington Finance Officers Association. And this annual award requires ongoing educational and professional excellence on the part of each individual and is not automatically awarded. The letter goes on to say, Larry is committed to achieving educational and professional excellence as acknowledged in the receipt of this award for 27 years. So Suzette, would you pass this on to him? And we will give it to you later.
If I may also add that the PFO, the Public Finance Officers Association, is no longer accepting any applications for membership and has been closed for quite some time. So those members who are still involved and are still earning that award should be doubly congratulated, because as times go on, they will become fewer and fewer as they tend to leave the profession. So it is a congratulations to Larry for continuing with that organization and with his education.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're very fortunate to have Larry Grove.
Yes,
in our
we are.
county
Yes, we are.
Over the years, not just.
Amen.
Pardon me?
Amen. A lot of amens out
Amen.
there.
And he's probably, I'm guessing he's probably out looking for places to put ballot boxes, because that's
Yes.
been the
Yes.
topic of discussion. So anyways,
Absolutely.
yes.
And the next one is a proclamation honoring Centralia founder George Washington. And as we in Centralia have said, our George Washington. Some folks say, is this George Washington the president? No, it's our George Washington, the founder of Centralia. And the proclamation reads as follows: whereas African Americans are an integral part of Washington's diverse population and rich history, being among the first non-Native Americans to settle in the area that was to become the Washington Territory and ultimately the state of Washington. And whereas George Washington, an African American, settled and founded the town of Centralia, Washington, causing this area to develop and prosper. And whereas George Washington left the racial discrimination of his native Missouri, first for Illinois, where he encountered further discrimination, and then for the Oregon Territory in 1850. And whereas in 1852, George Washington staked a land claim at the fork of the Skookumchuck and Chehalis Rivers in what is present-day Washington State. And whereas George Washington was able to secure his land and prosper as a frontier farmer, marrying Mary Jane Kane in 1869. And whereas in 1872, the Northern Pacific Railroad pushed all its rail line across his farm, George Washington, seeing a chance for economic opportunity, registered at the county seat in Chehalis, a town plat he originally called Centerville in 1875. And whereas in 1883, George Washington changed the name of his town plat from Centerville to Centralia, and the town grew and prospered, and George Washington's wealth grew along with it. And whereas George Washington continued to be a benefactor to Centralia, donating plots of land for churches, parks, and public buildings, earning a reputation for generosity among his neighbors. And whereas his reputation for generosity was proven by his actions during a depression that hit the area in 1893, throughout which George Washington bought and distributed large amounts of food and lent money at no interest to those in need. Whereas the depression eventually receded and Centralia again prospered, but some white newcomers to the town resented George Washington's prominence as the town's founder. Whereas George Washington survived being poisoned in the late 1800s and in the early 1900s by perpetrators whose identities were never discovered. Whereas, despite these racial problems, George Washington's friends greatly outnumbered his enemies, and when George Washington died from his injuries in a buggy accident, all businesses in Centralia closed so that residents could attend his funeral. And whereas George Washington encountered and overcame the difficulties of frontier life, exacerbated by racial prejudice, to achieve success and prominence in Washington history and the Western movement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners hereby recognizes and honors one of our founding settlers, George Washington, in recognition of his contribution to Centralia and to all of Lewis County. And be it further resolved that the BOCC deems it all the more appropriate to honor this great man as we approach the 200th anniversary of his birthday, August 15th, 1817. Would you like to come up and share about our George Washington?
My name is Bob Russell. I live at 123-16 Kennecott Drive in Chehalis. Thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to speak to the commissioners. Thank you very much for the recognition of Mr. Washington. Well deserved. I think if the general public hears that story and listens to it, it sounds surreal. It's quite amazing that somebody that lives so close to us and is responsible for so much of the benefits we enjoy led such an exemplary and fascinating life. I will paraphrase Pastor Alan Woods, who's on our committee, the GW 200 committee. When the discussion of race came up, somebody asked Pastor Woods if he thought that was should be something that was expounded on as the most important thing. And his comment to us was, we just tell the truth. That's one chapter of George's life. But the other chapter is a benevolent businessman who helped his neighbors and really created the sense of community that we have today. So the GW 200 committee has put together a full year of recognition for George, Mr. Washington, as I like to call him, out of respect, which starts this Saturday on the 12th. There'll be a community picnic from 10 to 2 at the park in Centralia. On Sunday, the 13th, there's a interdenominational church service at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. All the pastors in the local area are invited. On the 15th, a very big day, Washington Hall at Centralia College will be renamed in honor of Mr. Washington. It's some confusion now that it's Washington Hall. It was not named for him, and the benefactor, I'm told the primary benefactor is 100% behind renaming the hall in honor of George Washington. Throughout the year, you'll see other events, McMinimans, the whole community's pulling in. And I will say that I live in Chehalis. It's a really fascinating group. I see the commissioners attend our meetings. It is a truly community event with artists and business people and people from out of town. As I told somebody last night, this is a historical event, not just about Centralia. This is about Washington, and the city of Chehalis should do everything they can as a partner city, as a sister city, to honor Mr. Washington. So thank you very much for this kind recognition of Mr. Washington. You'll hear more and more about him throughout the year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Well said.
Yes. And a few historical notes. People have said, well, why was Centerville that name not kept? Well, there was a Centerville in eastern Washington, so we couldn't have two Centervilles, so Centralia became the name. And George Washington Park, where the library is, was named after him, and that's where the church service will be on Sunday at 2 o'clock. So please participate.
Thank you. Okay, a motion is made and second to approve the employee recognition of Larry Grove, and the second one, the proclamation honoring George Washington, the pioneer who founded Centralia. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whoops. Sorry, paper in the way.
I move that we move a notice item, Resolution 17-224.
Second?
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Martin, Public Works Director and County Engineer, speaking to Resolution 17-224. So notice of a hearing regarding the transfer of a controlling interest in Astound Broadband LLC, which holds a non-exclusive franchise for telecommunication facilities in county road rights-of-way. The hearing will be in the Commissioners' hearing room here on or after 10 a.m. on August 28th, 2017. So the reason why we need to do this is Astound Broadband LLC is owned by a parent company, Wave Division Holdings LLC, and Wave Division Holdings is selling their interest to another company called Radiate Holdco LLC. So according to Lewis County Code 1240, we need to have a hearing and an ordinance to transfer the interest in that company. Astound Broadband LLC will still be the franchise holder, and we're told they're going to retain that name, but they will be under a different parent company. And so we'll have that hearing on the 28th to get public comment on that ordinance. Any questions?
No.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, a motion is made and second to approve resolution number 17-224. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed.
I move that we approve consent items, the approval of minutes of July 31st, 2017, and Resolution 17-225, approval of warrants and claims against various departments.
Second.
Good morning, Commissioner. Suzette Smith, Chief Accountant, Auditor's Office, here to present to you Resolution number 17-225. This is the weekly approval of claims against the various county departments. Last week, we issued 103 regular warrants, number 774033 through 774135, for a total of $1,444,893.42. Those were issued between July 28th and August 3rd. In addition, we note the following warrants as a skip in sequence. These warrants were issued on behalf of the special purpose districts. Their commissions audit and approve those warrants, number 774136 through 774199. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. A motion is made and approved and seconded to approve the consent agenda, and that is 2 items, approval of the minutes and also resolution number 17-225. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed.
I move that we approve the deliberation items, Resolution 17-226 through 231.
Second.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sheila Gray, representing Bill Walmsley of the Lewis County Noxious Weed Board. Bill is currently serving jury duty in Thurston County this week, so he asked me if I would step forward and be here on his behalf. So I'm representing Resolution 17-226, resolution to approve an interagency agreement K2265 with the State Department of Agriculture, WSDA, for the management of invasive knotweed species. This is an ongoing project in our county. Knotweed is an invasive species that originally was brought in as an ornamental, oh so pretty, but also does really well here. So to keep it in check and keep it from invading into areas that it causes problems, there's been an agreement with the WSDA for Lewis County Noxious Weed to do some control work.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you. Thank Bill.
Thank you very much.
And the next resolution is appointing Christopher Vandenberg and reappoint Bob Thody and Barbara Burton-Burres to the Lewis County Water Conservancy Board. You may remember that we were asking for volunteers to serve on this board, and Christopher Vandenberg has done so, so we're adding him to this board to join Bob Thody and Barbara Burres. And the next one is the resolution to appoint Paul Erickson, and this is to the Lewis County Flood Control District Number 1, not to be confused with the Lewis County Flood Control Zone District for the Chehalis River. And Paul is replacing, I think, his father on this board.
Is that?
Beg pardon? It's out at the port area.
Good morning, Lee Napier, Director of Community Development, speaking on the next 3 deliberation items. The first is Resolution 17229, and this is an approval for the Director to sign the VSP contract, or Voluntary Stewardship Program contract. This is a contract between Lewis County and the State Conservation Commission. This continues work started in the last biennium, but since the biennium has ended, we need a new contract, and that's the purpose of this resolution. Any questions? The next item, Resolution 17230, is also a resolution to approve an agreement and to approve the director signing it. And this is an interlocal agreement between the Conservation Commission and Lewis County and the Lewis County Conservation Commission. So under the Voluntary Stewardship Program, Lewis County is co-leading it with the Conservation Commission, and they are eligible to receive some of the grant dollars covered in the prior resolution.
Lee, could you just give us just a little bit of background on this, please, and I know that part of it has to do with through the Farm Bureau, is that correct? Is this stewardship program was originally initiated, is that?
Right, so the VSP, or Voluntary Stewardship Program, is a program that has been put in place through actions of the agricultural community throughout Washington State, with Farm Bureau being the primary lead on that. And it provides an alternative to critical areas. So counties are required to have a critical areas ordinance, and all entities are are subject to that. So recognizing that activities related to farming maybe and agriculture may be different, the state has passed an exception to that, meaning that counties are still required to have a critical areas ordinance. However, if a county opts into a voluntary stewardship program, you can pursue an alternative pathway. So there will, by the time this is done, there'll be 2 paths for critical areas ordinances. One for the farming community or agricultural activities, and the other for the rest of the community.
Thank you very much.
And then the last agenda item is Resolution 17-231. So this will ratify an action that took place today at midnight when people woke up. And that's to modify the restrictions on outdoor burning to a full ban throughout unincorporated Lewis County. Previously, we had implemented burning restrictions that limited outdoor burning to just recreational fires, but with the changing weather conditions, we have changed that to be a full ban. We met on Friday. Shortly after we met and sent out our press release, the city of Centralia also followed suit on that. So this action will this resolution ratifies that action.
So residents in Chehalis, what are they, can they have outdoor burning right now?
Well, remembering that within cities and unincorporated urban growth areas, outdoor burning is generally prohibited. You can have some recreational fires. I would just advise that people contact their respective jurisdictions to see what is or is not allowed. So if you're within city limits or you're in an urban growth area, you should contact that city to see what the regulations are. To my knowledge, Chehalis has not implemented a change, but I think they're meeting Tuesday, so maybe there may be something coming this week.
I know it gets confusing for our residents, whether DNR land, on federal land, on our land, or a city's land.
Right, I understand that, and so we try our best. Southwest Clean Air, people often are confused whether or not they're in the county, but they may not recognize they're in an urban growth area. So Southwest Clean Air does have a tool, a mapping tool, where a person can plug in their address to determine if they're in the county or the urban growth area of the county.
Okay.
And then our partners, our recreation partners, such as Tacoma Power, I know is also trying to get word out to their customers so that they'll know what the rules are.
Thank you, Lee. Okay. Motion is made and seconded to approve 6 deliberation items, resolutions number 17-226 through resolutions 17-231. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay, good of the order. Commissioner Fund, do you have?
I'll defer to you regarding Mossy Rock this
Oh,
weekend.
yes. Yeah, it was a fun-filled weekend at Mossy Rock. We had the Blueberry Festival, and it started Friday and it ended yesterday, so lots of activities going on, and I will have to say that, and I've been out there before, but that amphitheater, and I think they received a grant to build that out there. And I know each year they're making improvements on it, but it's a nice little facility out there, and it was warm. Of course, there's not very little shade out there, but it was a good turnout, car shows, lots of people celebrating, trying to find cool places, but lots of vendors. I'm not sure what the numbers were, but very active. The town was packed all week long, so good for them and all the other communities that host these events, because they are very, very, they impact the communities greatly and give a lot of positive notoriety to our county as being part of them.
Didn't you say the concert on Friday night was very well attended?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Glenn Cowles and his band, he calls them jammers, but I don't know what their actual name is, but they put on a good show.
I heard like 300 people were there.
Yeah, he's very, very talented guy, and along with his bandmates. And I wish I don't know, Steve from the Forest Service was one of them that was involved with that. What's Steve's last name? Anyway, he just retired from the Forest Service, and then Ken, I believe, was the other person who's lived in Moss Rock for several years, but anyway, they were very entertaining, so lots of people.
Lots of people spending their money in Lewis County,
Yep.
and they understand they've been spending their money a lot in Packwood. Last weekend was very busy.
So, and we got the Loggers Jubilee coming up this weekend, so another fun-filled weekend, and I'm sure it's going to be crowded as crazy as ever. Well, not as crazy as it used to be, but it'll be fun, though.
Let's hope we don't have 100-degree temperatures at the
Yes.
Southwest Washington
I
Fair.
don't know, I haven't heard, so, heard maybe we'll get some rain at the end of the week,
Hope so.
possibly. A little would help.
But anyway, it's nice to have people recognize that Lewis County is a place to come. I think we have 25,000 Facebook likes on Discover Lewis County, so it's reaching far and wide and bringing people in.
And I will have to add to that, because they were doing a survey when you went through the entrance there to for the little concert, and they had a nice little questionnaire there about how people are hearing about these events, and again, I know that, it's not a secret ballot or anything, but the people that were there, they noted a lot of them were there camping, specifically camping that week, and continuing on, and of course, because of the events that's coming up in Morton. So that's very, very nice to hear that. So good for them. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Ron Abel from the Centralia area. I have two items. The first one is the gentleman that was here earlier that talked about search and rescue on the Cowlitz River. I'm sorry that he's not here, but I have a little bit of a curiosity about his request, because under the Sheriff's Department, we have a search and rescue operation, which the county has funded over the years. They've got boats and other equipment that is designed specifically for search and rescue operations, and we're part of the State Search and Rescue Association. So I don't know how this seemed to have been a side search and rescue organization rather than running through the Sheriff's Department. I don't know whether that's because it was partly in Cowlitz County or what was going on, but I'd suggest that perhaps the search and rescue, our regular search and rescue operation ought to be looked at before we fund a side group. The second one is, at Commissioner Fund, you were at the Chehalis Basin group
Right.
earlier this week, and as
Montesano.
you know, last week I talked about the funding problem that we have because of no capital budget, and I know that on the agenda that item was discussed. I wonder if you could share with us.
Yes, it was a very interesting meeting, because as most of you know, the capital budget has not been signed. There are some funds that were reappropriated that are involved in the flooding issues. One of the things, we're looking at the projects that were being funded, and one of them was China Creek. And in talking with the city of Centralia about that proposal and where they were, et cetera, about the funding, they received the bids on July 31st, and they were expecting about $750,000, and it was over $1 million. So it wouldn't be awarded anyway because of that. So part of those funds will be used at this point for the efforts of the Office of the Chehalis Basin. So there's also the restorative group that wants to, if I put it simply, move people that are near the river up to the higher levels and move their farming operation up there, and that was very controversial within Lewis County, but they are doing some studying. The species rehab, that continues, as well as the review of the water retention facility. And I think it's on Thursday or Wednesday. We'll be having further discussion on that. The Chehalis River Basin Flood Control Zone District meeting will be held right here at 1:30. And we also have on our agenda the Cowlitz River Basin Flood Control Zone District meeting at 2:15. So if you want to know more about those two basins, please come to those meetings. Thanks for asking.
Okay?
I would like to, first, I'm CJ Neer, do through grants, through our lodging tax, we have been able to plan our very first Oktoberfest. We have gotten huge response about that. We have over 19,000 engagement through social media. I get questions every day by phone, by email, text even, so we're super excited about that. But the one thing that's coming up, August 19th, we've been having our fireside events. We used a little propane here for our s'mores.
Thank you for saying that. Yes.
On Saturday night, but they've been very successful, and August 19th will be our last one of the season, and we'll have several bands that are returning, so we'll have a big jam session. We're doing a barbecue, hamburgers, hot dogs, and for purchase, or if everyone brings one can of food for the food bank and one back-to-school item, they can have a hamburger or a hot dog for free. So we would encourage everyone to come on out.
Nice.
Good, very nice. And CJ, that was the 19th, right? Okay. Be Okay, anything else?
I think we have scheduled in September our budget meetings, and we will be putting together a flyer. So those of you who want to attend our budget meetings and participate, or just sit in the background and watch how we look at this over $100 million budget, we welcome you to come.
Anything else? No. Okay. Entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn, since there's no other items on our agenda.
Second. Motion is made and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
You are invited to immerse yourself in the beauty of nature in all four corners of Lewis County, Washington. From our fields to your table, farms in the west share their bounty. Limitless landscapes, forests and mountains beg to be explored in the east. Fish our many rivers and lakes in the south, and discover where history and culture intersect in our twin cities. Explore it all by visiting our Facebook page and plan your next getaway at discoverlewiscounty.com. Culture, history, and adventure all come alive when you discover Lewis County.